It's the final weeks of summer, so there's still plenty of time to enjoy sunshine and sidewalk seating or a shaded outdoor patio or garden. Philly's got plenty to offer when it comes to outdoor dining options, and our CityCast Philly food contributor, Alisha Miranda, has a list of some of the best restaurants, bars, and distilleries that offer great drinks, great food, and great outdoor seating. It's Tuesday, September 2nd. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's where Philly's eating. Alisha, welcome back to the show.
So excited to be here.
All right, let's start it off with the Rex. Parks on Tap. Why is this on your list?
So Parks on Tap has been around in Philly for a while. I think it's just a cool concept. It's a traveling beer garden, and they come to different neighborhood parks around the city. It's usually like Wednesday through Sundays. They kind of like take over the park, if you will, for the week. And they're open April through October. So it kind of rotates every week where they're going to be. And it's just like pure family fun. You know, people can picnic there. They do have obviously beer, wine, cocktails available, as well as a food menu, which is great. But I love going there because people bring their blankets and chairs and truly like hang out for hours. So it's a really like come one, come all kind of vibe. And I think it's a really cool way to make it be all ages friendly as well. It's not just people that have to be 21 plus. You know, kids obviously are accompanied by adults, but it's just like a really nice vibe.
Do you like the dogs being there?
As a dog owner, yes, I do love seeing the pups around, but I've never had a bad incident with a dog. And listen, as long as you're paying attention to your dog, then that's great.
You've got Standard Tap in Northern Liberties on your list too.
Standard Tap is probably one of my all-time favorite bars in general in Philadelphia. I think they really set the standard for what a true Philadelphia neighborhood bar is. And one of my favorite little nooks, if you will, that they have is like the second floor porch. And it's a covered deck. So you can sit there, you know, on a rainy day or a cold day, and you're totally fine. And it looks over 2nd Street and Poplar in Northern Liberties. That building itself is just like such a fun, kooky building. You know, it's old, so the floors might be a little uneven. You know, there's a lot of worn woods. It's a building with a lot of little rooms. You know, it looks like a row home from the outside, but it's kind of like a maze inside. And they have wonderful food. I love the fish and chips there, and they have really excellent beers. So Standard Tap is definitely one of my favorites.
Do you need a reservation?
Nah, they take reservations, but it's big enough that you can just roll up.
Okay, let's go over to West Philly. Carbon Copy's on the list.
Yeah, Carbon Copy, they have a pretty sizable sidewalk seating right in the front. It's umbrella covered. They've got, you know, about 5 or 7 tables. It's pretty also family friendly. I do always notice, you know, whole families out there. I mean, what's not to love? They make excellent pizza. You know, the menu's kind of like really shareable pub food, but really high quality stuff, really simple, hitting the spot. You know, it's something that I think we're seeing a lot more of this kind of simplicity and refined menus with an emphasis on local. So they do have local beer, local wine, and of course they've got those pizzas. They have salads and other brew pub snacks for sure.
All right, take me down to South Philly. You've got a few on your list. Let's start over at Bach Bar at Irwin's.
Yeah, so Bach Bar over on 8th and Mifflin in South Philly, that's been open now for a decade. Everyone knows Bach Bar to go up there drinking and dancing. I selfishly live not too far away, so I think it is the best rooftop view in the city.
It gets crowded, though.
Well, that's why you go to across the hall to Irwin's.
Oh,
so you
okay.
duck. This is what I do. And a lot of people don't realize that Irwin's, which is a fabulous Sicilian restaurant right across the hall, they don't realize that that's there. So in the summertime, I just did the salsa Sunday afternoon.
Me too. I love it.
It's the best thing ever.
Yes.
So for sure, it's still, that salsa Sunday is still going through October, so heads up. So I was sweating from dancing for hours. And right at 5, when Irwin's opened, my husband and I like crawled over to Irwin's and refreshed ourselves with a ton of fish and wine and cocktails. And they also have a rooftop view. So you get the best of both worlds. You can sweat it up with a bunch of people at Bach Bar. And when you're tired of sweating next to strangers, then you go across the hall to Irwin's. And it's just fabulous. I've realized that I've actually spent like 4th of July at Bach Bar for the past several years, kind of not unplanned, but like it just so happens that that's kind of like the most low key kind of place I want to go to. They have
and it has great views of the entire city.
Absolutely. I love
you feel
watching
like you're on
the
top
planes.
of the world. Yeah.
For 4th of July, they always have like a fun DJ. And it's not rowdy. It's just a vibe. So I really love going to Bach Bar and Irwin's.
Now, tell me about Bach Bar. I mean, like you're saying, it is outdoor, but as we get to the cooler months, do you need a sweater? Like, what do you usually pack with you?
I usually like to go to a Bach Bar and I will pack a little sweater. It doesn't get too cold up there, which is really nice. It's always really nice and comfortable. So it's open through October because it's a seasonal rooftop. So the cool thing, too, is Irwin's is open year round.
Tell me about Frankie's Summer Club.
Yeah, so excitingly enough, earlier this summer, the same team from Bach and Irwin's opened Frankie's Summer Club. So it's like a little hidden courtyard just off Pine Street on 15th across from Pierce College. It's gorgeous. It looks like you're stepping into like a Parisian like park. It's super spacious. It's covered in trees. It's got like these beautiful brick buildings around it. It's super colorful. You know, if you've been to the Bach, you know that they love to play around with colors and design, and you still kind of get that creativity. They have a gorgeous pink arch entryway. There's like circle yellow high top tables and seatings. The thing with Frankie's is like you need a membership, but it's a pretty loose membership. Really, what they want you to do is just sign up, to be on their mailing list. You'll get a confirmation email when you go to Frankie's. You show them that email and then you're in. So it's not a big deal. But if you like the kind of small snacks and aperitivo style dining, then Frankie's is where to go. You know, they have mozzarella balls with red pepper flakes and sea salt and olive oil, prosciutto. They have natural wines and cocktails. And that will be seasonal. So, while we're ramping up the rest of the summer, definitely get in there.
Let's go back over to Passyunk Avenue. And you have Les Vertus. What does that mean?
The virtue?
Les Vertus.
Right? Boy, I took Italian for 6 years and I couldn't tell you.
Just the virtues.
There
Virtues. Okay, what makes this a virtuous place?
So, Les Vertus is a wonderful Italian spot. They focus on northern Italian food, so it's very comforting. I love especially going to Les Vertus in the fall and winter. The bonus of that is that they have an expansive patio right next to the restaurant that is covered, and it's got a couple of pockets of places to sit. And they make use of that patio year round. So, in the warm weather months, they do partner with the Passyunk Avenue bid to do Thursday night passeggiatas, which is a happy hour 5 to 7 at the bar and outside in their garden. So they have tap wines, house Negronis, spritzes. They've got a killer mortadella panini. They do like this fried chicken that is incredible. And then I'm usually there as a wine club member for these kind of monthly wine gatherings where you get to taste a bunch of different wines from different producers. And though it is obviously something for wine club members, they do invite anyone to participate. You just have to pay $20 and up per person.
Oh, cool.
But it's worth it because you get a buffet of food, which comes at no cost, and you get, as many wine tastings as
For
you want.
$20?
For $20. And like I said, I've been there in the winter with friends with our coats on, wine glass in hand, walking up to taste these wines, and it's fabulous. So that's a really fun spot that I would highly recommend people check out, not just in the summer. I think one of the coolest parts of Les Vertus is when you're out in their patio garden. They have a fantastic, large-scale mural with a scene that every time I look at it, I find something different. There's like a dog tugging on a child's diaper or something. There's people frolicking like in the woods. Like, it's just a scene that you can't stop looking at, and it's a really big conversation piece. I'd love to, the next time I go to Labor, to figure out more information about that mural, but it's one of the kind of the jaw-dropping things that you might notice walking up and down Passyunk.
We've got more outdoor recs after the break. Alisha, I love looking at your social media. I always see that you're at the Rodin Museum Garden Bar. Why do you love that place so much?
One, it's gorgeous, right? When you're walking down the Ben Franklin Parkway, that museum mile feels kind of otherworldly. You don't feel like you're in Philadelphia. And stepping through those like doors of the Rodin is just kind of magical. To me, being able to access that garden in the summer months for free, which is amazing. But also my favorite thing is their Summer Fridays, where they open from 4 to 8 p.m. And a recent kind of event that I have stumbled upon is they partner with Opera Philadelphia to do these like short 20-minute performances. They do start promptly at 6:30, but it's kind of amazing that you can sit there in this beautiful, lush garden, have, a drink in hand, have a snack in hand, and just witness some of the best opera in the world right in front of you in Philadelphia. They have pay-as-you-go wine, beers, and snacks. But the last time I went, a couple weeks ago, I really loved that everyone made it a picnic. So that was really fun to see, friends and family gathering around and bringing their own chairs and blankets and hanging out for the afternoon. I will say, if you're going to go in the middle of summer, definitely bring some sunscreen and some bug spray, because it is a garden. But it's just one of my favorite kind of serene, relaxing places for sure.
You've got Park on the list, and that is a very popular spot. I think also for like the people watching too.
Absolutely.
To see who's on who's on 18th Street.
It's, I think Park, sitting outside, it's a quintessential Philadelphian experience, right?
In Rittenhouse Square.
Yes, you get to basically have Rittenhouse Square to yourself, it feels like, especially if you are solo dining, which I'm often doing at Park. And that's sometimes like the better way to grab an outdoor seat, is if it's just you, right? But it feels so lovely to just sit there, not talk to anyone, and just listen, listen to the conversations, listen to the birds chirping, or watch the many dogs that are passing by. I love going there even in the fall and winter, and, sitting under the heat lamps with a cappuccino and like French onion soup or an omelet. It's just the best. It really is.
Okay, let's go down to the waterfront. You've got the River Tiki at Liberty Point on your list.
Yeah, so some of the former folks who headed up the Franklin Mortgage, which is a hidden bar in Rittenhouse Square, have opened up what they're calling River Tiki. So it's on the Delaware River. It's at Liberty Point, which is that like really big kind of circular multi-level building. And it's next to the Independence Seaport Museum at Penn's Landing. So when you walk up, River Tiki is on the 3rd floor. It's like under this rotunda on the left side. So you're overlooking the Delaware, you're overlooking those boats and having some classic tiki cocktails, which is really fun. I think it's, we don't have many places that do tiki cocktails, but I do know so many people who love tiki cocktails. So think like Mai Tais, daiquiris, a Singapore sling. There are those drinks that are usually with a lot of rum, a lot of fresh fruit, and they're served in these like really fun tall glasses that are in different shapes. You might have like a big fish-shaped glass. They're kind of ceramic glasses with kind of silly straws, if you will. They even do punch bowls, which...
Classic.
Drink
like
at your own
school.
risk.
Yeah.
Scorpion bowls, so that's really fun too. And it looks like they even have a small food menu, so you can, soak up some carbs while you're downing some tiki drinks. One of my favorite glasswares that they have is a parrot with the pineapple kind of stem sticking out and a really big kind of circular pink straw. So it's just a really fun, atmosphere, something different to drink on the waterfront. Like I said, we don't really have too many places in Philadelphia that do tiki style cocktails. So it's really fun to have this as an option.
You've got this romantic boat cruise, the Sea Philly boat cruise on your list.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a more private experience where it's just you and a loved one or you and your closest friends, and I highly recommend checking out Sea Philly. That's SEA Philly. It's basically the ultimate treat yourself kind of splurgy waterfront experience. So it's a private boat cruise on the Delaware. It's BYOB, but the boats do come with like ice and coolers and cups. You can also like kind of step up your package with them and get like a grazing board that has like charcuterie. And what they're doing this year, which I find really fun, is they're partnering with Barnegat Oysters in Jersey. So you get to do like an oyster shucking class. Obviously, you get to eat oysters, learn about oysters. All of this while you're like cruising the Delaware. My husband and I did this cruise for our wedding anniversary, and it was the best thing ever. I can't stop talking about it. They also do have like their own private dock where they also do events. So look out for that, any opportunity to be part of those events. But, justice for the Delaware. It's a gorgeous river. We should be activating that space more. And I think what Sea Philly is doing is helping to kind of help people reimagine our waterfront experiences.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep talking about this after the break. All right, now you do have places that are not like traditional sit-down restaurants on your list. Where should we go?
So I would say, thinking if you don't want to go to a bar or restaurant, and here's a hot take. I actually don't really like dining outside.
Why don't you like to eat outside?
So it depends on what the dining outside environment is, right? Like,
oh, absolutely.
You know, like sidewalk seating is totally fine. But I think sometimes, you're exposed to the elements. So sometimes I don't want to be outside when it's blazing hot, right? I'd prefer to be outside maybe in the fall or in the spring. So for those of you who don't maybe want to, dine outside on a sidewalk and want to kind of reconnect with nature, then I would say, let's go old school. Start picnicking somewhere. Clark Park in West Philly is a wonderful option. Obviously, Rittenhouse Square is one. The Schuylkill River. The Schuylkill Banks is a great place to picnic. So if you want to reconnect with nature, just go pack a picnic and bring your own food and drinks and enjoy the outdoors.
You talking about hot takes. I would not eat at Rittenhouse Square. Instead, I would go to Washington Square Park.
Washington Square Park is so slept on. I agree.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for reaffirming.
It's less crowded. It's just as beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit more centrally located.
And it's quiet.
It's very quiet. Yeah. You also have, there's a couple of wineries now that we've got in the Philly area. Mural City has their wine garden, which is a really fun spot. And they will have like different food vendors. Amy's Pastelillos from Fishtown is a popular food vendor that comes out to the Mural City wine garden. And then we do have breweries and distilleries, right? Like we have so many of those places that as more breweries and distilleries open, I think a lot of these places are thinking about that indoor, outdoor, year-round experience. So I would say definitely opt for those because those are definitely family-friendly and some of them are dog-friendly as well.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about the breweries that do have like an outdoor space in the city.
Yeah, so I think one of the OGs, if you will, obviously, is Philadelphia Brewing Company. So what I love about them is that they're one of the few breweries in the city that actually still does tours. So they do these 1-hour tours on Saturdays, obviously first come, first served. But they also have a nice indoor-outdoor space where people can hang out and pets, well-behaved pets are also welcome. So I love that.
I see cats.
If you want to leash up your cat, let's go. I feel like that's a Fishtown thing. I've read stories about leashed cats in Fishtown. So, yeah, so that's definitely one to enjoy. And then another place that you can do indoor-outdoor drinking and eating is Philadelphia Distillery. So the folks that make Blue Coat Gin up in Fishtown have a gorgeous tap room space. They do distillery tours as well, but they also have a lovely kind of patio right adjacent to it where they do have heat lamps. Sometimes they have fireplace pits set up, and then they also have, when it's nice weather, the beanbag toss. So they really do try to activate that space to make it as welcoming as possible. So that's a really fun place to go to maybe before, a show or something.
If you're into cigars, you can get a drink from the Philadelphia Distilling and go up to the Cigar Lounge, Smoking Silverback's Cigar Lounge, which is a Black-owned cigar shop. It is BYOB, and it's open late. Alisha, thank you so much for all these outdoor food recommendations and for joining me on CityCast Philly.
No problem. Happy to be here.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode about some of the best places where you can eat outside, tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. And don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye. What's next on your food adventures?
So let's see. What am I doing? So I am going to Longwood Gardens. I've been to Longwood Gardens plenty of times, but I've never actually ate at their restaurant, 1906.
Ooh, yeah,
so I'm
1906.
very excited to check that out.
Try I think it's the charred beets.